Austerity is not working. It's time for a Social Investment Pact. Delegates to the 23rd EAPN General Assembly join with people experiencing poverty in showing a red card to the EU institutions for abandoning the people, including the most vulnerable in the rush to appease the markets. The member states acting together in the European Council are pursuing an austerity-first approach which makes the poor pay the price for the crisis they did not create and undermines an inclusive recovery.
Delegates of the General Assembly called on EU leaders to put people and planet before markets and to agree a Social Investment Pact in order to restore people's confidence and set out a positive vision and roadmap for future EU cooperation.
Delegates to the General Assembly reject the EU brutal abandonment of the Greek people by enforcing policies with no consideration for their immediate and long-term social consequences.
Question to the Europe 2020 promise of inclusive growth, poverty reduction, when poverty target is taken seriously and European economic governance is dismantling national social infrastructure and generating increased poverty, inequality, particularly in Troika countries.
Denounce the breakdown of stakeholder engagement in key EU processes such as the Europe 2020 strategy and the marginalization of democratic processes as a consequence of intergovernmental agreements implemented without adequate parliamentary scrutiny.
Express incomprehension and anger at why the EU continues to back a blatantly failing austerity model which is driving recession and fracturing the EU, instead of promoting an urgent debate and action supporting alternative approaches for inclusive recovery based on solidarity, social investment, and the pursuit of more equal societies.
The delegates of the General Assembly therefore call on the European Union and Member States to agree a Social Investment Pact by 1. Investing in a progressive stimulus package that supports people and raises income levels through investing in a quality job creation, accessible services, and high-level social protection systems, including equating in minimum income schemes, while ensuring access to disadvantaged groups through integrated active inclusion approaches. Investment in education, health service, affordable housing and energy, and addressing increasing levels of homelessness must be part of such a pact.
2. Backing the role of the state to provide common goods and ensure inclusion and social cohesion by guaranteeing universal, equitable welfare and services necessary for human well-being. A halt must be made to the transfer of state assets to for-profit corporations in sectors where competition attacks social rights.
3. Getting and distributing resources fairly. Reverse the trend of growing levels of working poor by regulating for living wages and investing in adequate minimum income schemes, at least at 60% of the median disposable income, while moving forward on an EU framework to ensure adequate minimum social standards across Europe to ensuring a social floor. Finance this through tax justice, prioritize progressive income tax, wealth tax, financial transactions tax, and tackle tax evasion and avoidance by closing down havens and loopholes through EU regulations.
4. Saving the euro and reinforcing economic stability, but not by sacrificing solidarity between regions, the wealthy and the poor. Eurobonds, cancellation of unpayable debts, flexible deficits currency management, and EU financial transaction tax are vital tools. But economic governance must be delivered with social objectives and social justice as an end goal. An urgent priority is to safeguard Greece's participation in the Eurozone and in the European Union, and for the ECB to provide affordable financial support to all countries facing bailouts.
5. Reinforcing democratic accountability through direct and participatory democracy
by strengthening the role of the national and European parliaments and investing in genuine, regular civil dialogue with all stakeholders, including NGOs and people experiencing poverty, to design, monitor, and implement alternative solutions to the crisis, including through Europe 2020.
6. Measuring social progress, not economic performance. Go beyond GDP and develop a multiple Sustainable Development Index which draws on the social indicators from the social OMC and measures progress towards equality, health, material benefits, and well-being, as well as cultural, social, and political participation. Narrow the growing income and wealth gap by putting a realistic and ambitious target to achieve more equal societies.
A relaunched Europe 2020 strategy that takes its objective of inclusive growth and its poverty reduction target seriously, not as trickle-down afterthoughts, would provide an overarching framework to promote and monitor the implementation of such a social investment pact.
Such a relaunched strategy would need to be underpinned by poverty and inequality reduction recommendations, backed by financial investment, in particular through EU funds, with at least 25% of cohesion budget allocated to the European Social Fund and at least 20% of the ESF ring-fenced for social inclusion and fighting poverty.
Thank you.